What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Got a quick client interview today with my boy Anderson. Anderson was one of my first clients, and he's had a pretty good amount of success in the program. So I wanted to just invite him on today, talk about his experiences and everything like that. So Anderson, if you want to kind of kick us off, tell us a little bit about you and your background and your things in there.
What's going on, y'all? My name's Anderson Miller. Played at Western Kentucky. Was been in pro ball for the last 9 years, basically. 10 years, kind of retired. In 2023, I was in spring training with the Dodgers after being with the Royals pretty much my whole career. I was a top 100 draft pick. Played this game at a really high level, and basically have taken the last year or so off from being around the game of baseball while I try to figure out, how I wanted to impact it. In the time of me retiring this time last year, to now, said no to quite a few opportunities as far as like jobs and stuff go in baseball, high school coaching jobs, college coaching jobs, pro ball jobs. Said no to all of them. Been here with my family for the last year, just kind of sitting back, getting back on stable ground, kind of putting my head together and getting a game plan together, which you've obviously helped me with since probably like November, December, because of what I've been through and my experiences in the game of baseball. I feel like I have a pretty good gut, and kind of saw some of the things you were talking about. And it made sense because I want control over my time. I want to work with the players that I want to work with. And I also understand the importance of a coach, man. So we chopped it up on a call for like an hour or so. And I was like, yeah, man, I think this makes sense. And I got a lot of other factors going. Most of your clients are probably single guys, younger 20s, single women, whatever. I'm not that. I'm dad of two, got a 9 to 5 still right now. And also run my own podcast, handle everything, no help. I'm busy, man, but when you want something to happen, like you either find a way to make it happen or you don't. So, that's why I wanted to work with you and continue to figure out what I needed, because I know I believe in myself, but I just needed a little bit of guidance, a little bit of navigation, some guardrails on how to move forward on some of the more financial marketing side of things. And I know you're really good at that, man. But yeah, that's my background, and now I've started this coaching program. It's like it's taken off, bro. 3 months ago I had 900 followers on IG, and now I'm close to 10K. And gosh, it's been crazy. It's been way crazier than I could have ever imagined. But now, bro, it's all gas, no brakes. So it just makes sense.
Yeah, no, dude, it's been cool to watch the progression, especially I know, you're still working on 9 to 5. You're working on getting rid of it. Working on playing a little bit of Monopoly. I'll let you talk about that a little bit later. For me, man, it's just been cool to see your progression. You got on the first group call, and you're sitting there at your desk, with your 9 to 5 outfit on and everything, and now to kind of see the direction that you're going and things like that. To me, is super cool. And maybe if you want to talk a little bit about, kind of how the progression and everything has transpired, and, the direction that you're going.
Yeah, man. As this is in my own program, I tell my players, right, you guys aren't going to get anywhere without an end goal in mind and without some sort of game plan. And, it's one thing to be I think that's the problem with a lot of people that start things that aren't built to last, is that they're thinking short term and they have no mission, they have no purpose, they have no end goal. You got to have a clarity and vision, man, and flexibility in how you get there. And if there's anything that I am right now, it's flexible. That's one of my values, I would say. Right. But no, man, I knew that I care about people, and I know baseball is the vehicle for me to get in touch with people and where I have the most expertise and how I can help players be their best selves. And got my things like I help guys go from good to great and play thoughtless baseball, like simple as that. And how we make that happen is different for every player. But like at the end of the day, man, I want to see people use baseball and not let it use them. But I had to figure out what I want to do and how I want to give back to the game and how I want to do it on my terms before I moved forward. So, yeah, man, I've been at a 9 to 5 as much as I want to just rush into everything. I needed it to take time because like I said before, I'm not single. Like I have responsibilities. I have mouths to feed in my house. I have four mouths to feed, a family of 4, and like if I'm not moving with intention and plan, like, this is not going to work, and I'm going to set my family up for success or not set them up for success. So I've really been pretty methodical on how I've done everything, but also trying to be authentic. Like I know that my story, probably your clients aren't going to have the story that I have, but like there's still something to be learned from my journey into this, that like when you are the niche, right? Like I know we hear that a lot on social media, but like you have something that separates you from the competition or other coaches. And I think something that I notice is like there's so many people in this world that you succeeding in helping people and me succeeding in helping people are not going to overlap. There's enough room for all of us to be great. And just getting out of that like scarcity, limiting beliefs, right? And just being like, man, like if you're in your own lane, there's no traffic, right? So just show up and like embrace who you are who you see when you're looking in the mirror, and figure out how you can help people that remind you of your younger self, and just go. And that's kind of been my whole thing, man. And I just started putting myself out there on camera. I mean, I got some help from some of the OGs of the program, like Ian and Matt Ross and DR and Ariel, and those dudes were really sick early on, and I know you pride yourself on having quality people in the group, right? So those guys in itself, like I'm like, man, this is already, they're punching the right buttons here and it's working for them. It's definitely going to work for me too. I just got to come up with a plan and make a commitment and make a choice to be consistent, and not necessarily put this timeline on myself because, like I said, I've got a different story than others. But even so, like, 5-6 months of I mean, even less than that, honestly, of really putting in the work and being consistent and putting some late nights and early mornings in. And now I'm in a place where I've got a program that is unique, and it's going to help a lot of baseball players and set up my family to be in a place where I want to be. And that wouldn't have happened if I didn't take the first step of understanding and swallowing my pride and being like, I can't do this alone. Just like the same reason players want to work with me and these guys in college and high level players want to work with me is like, and this, that the reason you aren't where you want to be is because you don't know enough yet. And that's why I can help these guys, because I've navigated everything that they're going to go through on and off the field. And sometimes I fell flat on my face and I had to pick myself back up. But, thinking that you're going to understand how to garner people's attention, the ultimate currency in 2024, without like some sort of strategy and some sort of game plan, like, bro, you're going to struggle for a long time. And you're probably going to like be in this like in the middle lukewarm thing, and like it's never going to work. And I bet on myself. Like I know that I have what it takes to be successful at whatever I want to do, but at the same time understanding that there has been help in my inner circle along the way, and adding you to that has allowed me to move through this confidently and understand that like I'm building something that's built to last and also built to win, like short term and long term. But it wouldn't have happened if I was sitting here just like kids try to do, like watching content, thinking that you're going to learn some stuff by just watching. Like, there's no context, there's no depth to that, bro. Like, you have to go in and just go for it. And if you don't, like, best of luck, right? I mean, we see it. It's just like, okay, man, like, is that really a life worth living where you're just on the fence for for the next 3 years, and then everything's, all the opportunities and windows of opportunity you had to actually go for something are past you? And I'm much more willing to fall flat on my face with this. I'm not going to, but and then go back to a normal life, right? Or working or living for somebody else, right? And no, man, I mean, building this thing up from scratch has made me feel equally as alive and like having a purpose as I did when I was playing and pursuing to get to the big leagues, like, and honestly more, because now the work that I'm doing is helping guys get to college and get in contact with D1 schools and get them in the starting lineup after being on the bench. And, when I'm getting videos of guys hitting home runs and we're working remotely, it's like, bro, this is like, I have conviction in what I'm doing and belief. And, I wouldn't have it if we probably didn't cross paths. And, uh, because like I'm saying in my group, like, honestly, a good coach doesn't tell you what you don't have. They just basically help you believe in what you already possess and help you to embrace it and go be great, because you already have everything you need to be great. Once I realized that, and like, I've been looking at my story and I'm like, bro, like, I have a story that no one can replicate. There's no way I can't succeed. And I can also help other coaches and other players succeed. Like, I don't know, man, it's a win-win, but it doesn't happen unless I have a good coach in my corner like yourself. So yeah, bro. I mean, that just is what it is. Like, I'm not here to bullshit.
And I appreciate that so much, dude, because like you said something that I think is really powerful. You were like, how long are you going to be on the fence for? For 3 years? You're not sure? Like, dude, I had people hit me up around the same time that you did back in November, and like, it's 4 times more expensive now to work with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because you took that risk, because you believed in yourself and invested in yourself, like, not only did you get me a way cheaper price, like, you're first to market, you spent way more time with me, like, because you took that risk, because you invested in yourself and you saw the opportunity and took it, like, I'm way further ahead. And I think maybe switching gears a little bit, something that we've talked about a lot is like providing value to our clients, right? And like actually changing their lives. And I think that's like a big mindset shift that people need to make, because they feel like online training is like disingenuous, or that they can't actually help people. And like, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, because there are just too many people out there that think that online training is just a money grab and you can't actually make real connections and actually get results.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess it really just comes down to who you're dealing with, right? I mean, and this goes for your potential clients as well, right? People have a pretty good bullshit meter these days, right? And if you're not focused on making an impact, if that's not your leading pillar, like, you're not going to make it very far, and you're not going to be, people sense when you're desperate for their financial gain, right? You have to be focused on something bigger and understand that if you do that and provide elite service and care for people first, like, nobody cares what you know until they know how much you care, right? So if you're not making that number one, like, one, you're not gonna, you could have all the tools in the world, but like, your perspective and how you're approaching everyone, right? I know you early on put stuff in terms of like hitting up, girls or talking to somebody, like, you're not just gonna ask straight up, like, first question, right? You've got to like get to know somebody before you proceed forward. And it's the same thing, like, even in, and with my program, like, I didn't really have the best sales process, but by my content, like, I did a lot of everything like people knew, and that was like what stood out to my clients is like, we can tell you're real. I didn't have a lot of time to be spending a whole lot of time in the Instagram. Like I had I ended up with like 750 in my first like hard launch, right? Which is insane. But at the same time, like it was almost frustrating because I wanted to provide these conversations that but the people that I did end up getting the opportunity to coach, and now I'm passing on, and they're seeing 2 weeks in to a 12-week program that like I'm legitimately changing the trajectory of their career. It's because they knew that I cared. And I started to just understand that, you know what, there's no way I'm going to be able to there's no way I'm going to be able to bring in 100 of these 750 people, but like the people that really want to work with me already know they want to do that. They just want to know that I care about them as equally as much as they care about where they want to go. And once I understood that, and now, like, you know, I'm not doing any bringing in new people. Like the cadence of my program is every 3 months. So like if you didn't make that jump, now you're going to see what these guys do for the next 3 months. And like you said, I kind of thought about that in my own perspective. Like if I just sit around and wait and look at everything that you're doing with the players that you're doing, and, you know, you've got these guys that are really helping baseball players and helping themselves through the internet, right? How long am I going to sit there and look at that before I actually understand that I'm just scared or not willing to put in the work to actually, like, that's the reason I'm not committing, is because you don't actually want it bad enough. And that's what it comes down to. Like the people that ended up in like, you know, I don't want to invest in myself, or I just need some time to think on it. Like, that's fine. It just doesn't mean as much to you. And you know, when you're willing to do something, or when you're willing to make something happen, like you find a way, right? As much as I want to sit here and be like, oh, I'm tired. Yeah, I'd rather be tired and working on something that's creating a life that I want than be rested up living a life for somebody else that I don't feel good about. And I understand that, you know, these last 4 or 5 months together haven't been the most sleep filled. And if I had a Whoop band on, I probably wouldn't have great recovery. But like, bro, I don't care. I'm setting myself up for happiness, and I'm also helping athletes that needed my help in the season when I started my first program. And if I waited any longer to do this, I wouldn't be setting my family up for the position we're in right now. And these athletes would be missing out by me not passing on my gifts and my experience, right? So it's almost selfish for you to not use what you know, I'm guessing most of the athletes or coaches that you're working with have some sort of background in a sport of some sort, right? So if you're not passing on your gifts, like they're either one going to go away, and you're also just like not leaving the game that you love and care about in a better place, which that's why we're on this earth, is to change people's lives by passing on the knowledge from our experiences. And if you're not doing that, like you're just being selfish, and you're also probably not as happy as you would be knowing that you're helping somebody that struggled or is in the middle of the struggle that you went through, and you're just basically sitting there watching struggle and suffer instead of actually like reaching your hand out and pulling them up, which that's what coaching is. And it can be done through the internet. It is being done through the internet, and I'm seeing it, I'm living it in real time. And it's way more in depth than having 30 minutes together and there being a time crunch on it. Like, I'm here to provide service for these guys around the clock. Now, obviously, if I'm with my family, I'm not going to text you back, but these guys know I'm going to put in the time. And if you're not a coach that's willing to put in the time for your clients, and you think you're going to just bring in 100 people and just leave them on red all the time, you may have a great first program, but like, are you going to be around in 5 years? Probably not, because your focus isn't on what matters. And it has to be people focused and impact focused. If it's not those two things, like, you're probably not in the right place, and you should reevaluate what you're doing. Simple as that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think I think a lot of people get it twisted by thinking like that it's like a zero sum game. You know, a lot of people think like, oh, like athlete pays me X amount. Like let's say athlete pays me 1,200 for a 3 month program. Like now he loses and I'm winning. Like I make money and I'm amazing and I'm stealing from these kids. When in reality, it's like, dude, like we're exchanging value. You know, like because we are exchanging value. Like these people are giving you money, which you need to provide for your family, provide a good service. Like you are not going to have the best program that you can unless you're doing it full time. And that's just straight up, right? So if you actually care about helping athletes get better, you have to charge a high price so you can do it full time, so you can give them all your time, effort, and attention. And at the same time, if they're not paying you a lot of money, guess what? They're not going to care. They're not going to care. Their parents aren't going to be on their ass when, you know, you're texting them and they're like, you know, hey, little Johnny, will you text me Anderson back? We paid $1,200 for his program. And like, you better be taking it seriously. We're investing in your future, right? So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that and then maybe kind of like what the results have been in March and what your plans are. We can kind of go from there.
Yeah, bro. I would say that's probably been my biggest struggle. Like one thing about me, if you're probably listening to this, you can probably tell I care about people, right? I would do what I'm doing for free. I would. If I didn't have to provide for my family. And, you know, one day my hope is that Unfinished Player Development is sponsored by the MLB, or all the spots in the program are sponsored by companies and organizations and players. They're taking up spots almost in the program, whatever. But like I would do what I'm doing for free, truly. But also understanding that by teaching these players and parents a lesson that we full and well understand, meaning me and you, that investing in yourself is the best investment that you can possibly make in this world, right? And having to teach I'm trying to teach these players that lesson early, because it's something that always compounds on itself. Like you will never regret spending money for your own self-improvement and self-development, because that translates to everything that you do in life. And the sooner that you see it like that, and the less you see it as, ooh, man, I'm spending a lot of money on this, or I don't feel good about that, but you're willing to go buy a car, new Jordans, a $500 DeMarini bat, a new Wilson glove, but you're not willing to pay to have somebody actually push you to be a better version of yourself, which isn't worried about material things. Like, I don't know, man. Understanding that, yes, if you're not willing to invest in yourself, then one, it doesn't mean as much to you. And like, that's not somebody that I want to work with, because I understand. And if you think about it, man, like every single good elite person, athlete, business person is only as strong as the team they have around. Nobody in this world is where they are that's successful by themselves. Like that's just not true. It's not true. And it's funny because all of the MLB guys that I know since I've started this reach out to me like, man, what you're doing is amazing. Like we would have killed to have this when we were younger, coming up in high school and college and the recruiting, the draft. They get it. And the people that don't get it will never, I'm not going to say be successful, but they won't be that level of successful because they don't understand and they can't wrap their head around the fact that you're only as strong as your inner circle and the team around you. And if the people around you aren't ahead of you, know more than you, or a little bit older than you, you're probably going to struggle. And literally, you can look at anybody in this world, the team that they have around them, if they're successful and they're consistently successful, is rock solid. And it's around the clock. It's all encompassing. It's nutrition. It's mindset. It's business. it's health, right? It's literally everything. They have a team for every part of their life in some way or another. And, you know, the athletes that understand that are going to go places, whether it's in sports, whether it's to the big leagues or in life. And same with coaches. Like the coaches that understand that are going to do some really, really good work. And if you can't understand that, I mean, I guess good luck building somebody else's dream. I don't know what else to tell you. Because that's what it comes down to, right? You're either living a life where you're building up something that you want to build from scratch, and yes, it's going to take some hard work, or you're helping somebody else accomplish their dreams, right? And once you kind of see it that way, it's like the decision, I mean, that speaks for itself. You're either going to make that decision or you're not willing to put in the work to make that happen, and that's okay. That's something that you have to live with. And that's what I tell the athletes, that maybe like it literally is just, it's not that important to you, because I don't know about you, but like I'm willing to be flexible for somebody that wants it. I've got guys in my program that are at HBCUs that are, you know, man, I can't do it all up front. And I'm like, you know what? Cool, man. You've reached out to me 3 different times. We're going to make this work, because I am a firm believer that if I provide the service to you, one, even if you never paid me full, like if I don't ever see that, right, I'm going to get that back over time by the level of service that I provide. And I know that it's going to bring in other people. And I don't know, man, there's just something to me, like you either want it or you don't. And I'm willing to work with people that want it. And you know how that is, right? But like, yeah, man, when you pay attention. And if you're not willing to invest in yourself, then you're not willing, like you just don't want it bad enough. As I've said this whole time, like, it takes what it takes, man. Straight up.
It takes what it takes. And you know what I think is funny is like people come to me to like learn how to do internet business and baseball and stuff like that. And it's like, well, not only do I have like, 2 years of experience and working 12 hours a day every day, we're recording this on a Sunday, right? I've also spent 35 grand on mentor coaching programs, right? So it's like, do you think that this is an accident, right? And it's the exact same thing with like the coaches that are in the program. Like, dude, and at the same time, you got to see it like, you pay to get in my program. Like, we work together 4 months, 6 months, whatever. Like, you will have these skills the rest of your life. It's a one-time investment for, how old are you, 28? For the
29.
rest of your 29, for the rest of your life. Right.
And I can tell you already, I mean, I'm not great with numbers. But for what I put in and what I've gotten back after running one official program launch, like I don't know if I 3x'd it or what, but I got more than what I put in. I'll just leave it at that. And with the way the rest of this year and the trajectory of this thing is going, and like I said, my program probably a standout from some of the others out there. That's okay. Still, like, if I didn't start and if I didn't go through this process, I wouldn't be in this position to like really take off and help a lot of players and change their lives and change my own.
I love it, dude. Love it. I just want to say thank you so much for like trusting me and believing in me, like especially so early on. And I only had like a handful of case studies. And now it's like,
yeah, you had like 2 case studies.
Yeah. Now it's like, all right, like you don't want to trust me, you don't want to join the program now, like come on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I just
Yeah.
laugh. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
But, no, I just want to say thank you. I guess, like, if you want to talk maybe a little bit about, like, the results and then maybe, what your plans are, not just with your business, but like with everything.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I went into this just kind of looking to kind of gain a few skills and realized pretty quickly that, like, I don't know, not everyone's probably going to hit it off like we did just fine. Um, but like, man, I remember that one-on-one call we had and we talked, and it was just like this conversation in itself would have been worth fill in the blank. Like, I don't like, literally, if you gave me a blank check, it was like I left the conversation and I was like, that conversation just changed the trajectory of my life post baseball, right? And you know which one I'm talking about. We sat there, and then the next thing you know, like, I sat down and wrote out like basically like we'll call it like a manifesto, I guess. And from then, it was just like, I don't know, like an unwavering faith in the trajectory of where I'm going. And now, man, unfinished player development is going to be legit. I mean, it already is. I'm also about to go from being just remote to doing a hybrid program as well, looking to go into this full time in the next few months. I wouldn't have been able to move into a bigger house for my family without doing this and having this, my 9 to 5, and also the income from the coaching program to get approved, because my W-2 wasn't approved on itself, debt to income ratio. So there in itself, like, all right, I mean, and if I never started, right, or if I waited till now to start, like, my family with 2 kids under 2 years old would just be waiting for me to finally get my tires out of the mud. Next thing you know, it's 2025. Like, time waits for no man, and we're not promised tomorrow, right? And now I've gone from just feeling like I'm going through the motions to, like, I'm living a life that I feel good about. I never made it to the big leagues, and damn it, I was so close. But now I feel like I have a purpose again. Like, I've discovered what I'm good at, and it's helping young baseball players, young men, get to the best version of themselves, straight up. And I know that I'm a slightly older than you, and I honestly think that we've benefited each other and continue to push each other. And that's probably the biggest thing, is that, like, there's a competitive aspect to it, and understanding we can both be at the same time. And there's at no point in the last 4 or 5 months that we had a conversation that was like a limiting mindset or a scarcity mindset. Like, no, man, like, I talked to you, I talked to Ian, I talked to Evan, and all of you, like, there's room for all of us to be great, and we're doing it, and we're doing it together. And, like, to me, that is everything. So that's really all I got to say about that. I'm just thankful. I'm just thankful that we cross paths, honestly.
Yeah. No, me too, man. Me too. And that's why I do this, is to really show people, like, yeah, there's like a life after baseball. Like, I kind of figured it out. I was like, oh shit, like, you could do this and, like, actually have, like, real amounts of success. Not just like, oh, I'm barely trying to get by and, like, pay in a facility. Like, you can actually, like, create your own life doing this type of stuff. And, like, that's exactly why I do what I do. And we took it and ran with it. And I appreciate the friendship that we've built. So, I mean, is there anything that you want to say before we wrap up here and get on the road?
No, man. I mean, I appreciate everything. I mean, I guess because of us doing this, right, people's lives are going to change. And to me, like, that's a life worth living. It's like, it's not worth playing it safe. Like, are you going to look back when, you don't have much time left and be like, man, I wish I would have just stayed there for 20 more years and clocked in and clocked out? Like, no, like, No, we don't have guaranteed time. Get busy living. That's really all. That's what I'm going to end with, because that's how I'm moving through this, and because of that, man, I'm building my own dreams, not building someone else's. And it wouldn't have happened without hopping in the program and crossing paths with you. So that's really all I got.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and I love the coffee mug. We could add everyone issues that they have, but Anderson, I really appreciate you coming in. And I appreciate our friendship, and just the success that you're achieving right now is just tip of the iceberg, dude. And your career, your experiences are going to help so many people. So thank you, dude. And if you're a coach watching this and you're ready to get going, and maybe you resonate with this story, and you want to learn how you can do online training, and you know what to do, book in a call with me down below, hop on the phone, and see if you're the right fit. Maybe you and Anderson can be boys and teach you a thing or two. But until next time, y'all, I appreciate it.